Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing.
Yo, yo, ma! And welcome to the PAC Show, proudly brought to you by DoubleTake Sports and PAC Athletic Club, the show that brings you all the highlights, the lowlights, the reviews, the previews, the news, and the interviews from rugby here in Australia and around the world. My name's Jay Boy, and tonight, up in the starters box, we've got Dos. We don't have Dal, but Freens has got himself a starting jersey once again. Yeah, round of applause for Freens there. But usually when Freens is up there, it means the Battlers bench is empty, but not tonight. We've got a very special guest. We have ourselves from Churchy Rugby, just secured himself a three-way premiership, and formerly from Norths Eagles and Brothers Rugby Club. It's Schultzy. Right, Schultz, how are you, brother?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no,
Looks
you're
good.
welcome,
He
man.
actually looks nice and trim on the camera, unlike myself.
Yeah.
There
It
he
looks
is.
a bit different. Yeah. It's a bit different view when you're sitting on the couch next to big fat ass.
Yeah, it's just two two wide bodies. It's fine.
Yeah, but how you been, Schultzy? Good to get you in the mixer, mate. Been a big year for you out there at Churchy.
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, finished with a win on the weekend and sharing the premiership three ways, but no, it's been awesome. It's been a really tight competition, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Who did you share it? Who else won it?
Who cares?
No, on a serious.
TSS and Nudgy.
Classic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, like, at the end of the year, there being a playoff sort of thing?
Oh, that'd be awesome. But
That would be good, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think especially when you talked about school competitions, a lot of people don't realise it's around school calendars, and there's a lot of other things that happen in schools other than just rugby. So as much as it'd be awesome to have a playoff, or maybe 2 rounds or whatever.
Well, we'll delve into that because that's part of the PAC news we're going to get into. We'll get your insight in a lot of that because that is something we were discussing just before off air as well, if there's any way that we could sort of divide that premiership up. I know you were saying hopefully not because you would have come second, but otherwise we'll get into that, but there's plenty of news we want to get into. Obviously, we've got the QPR Grand Final coming up this weekend, so we'll spend a bit of time waxing lyrical about that. Doggies versus UQ, going to be an absolute belter. Brothers got the arse, which is absolutely awesome. Speaking of brothers, Big T-Bone Maloney's going to be joining us on the blower, hopefully from Mad Monday, but I don't know.
Hopefully it's not too sad.
Yeah, T-Bone's a good bloke.
Yeah, he is.
Brother sucks, but yeah, and we'll delve into all that sort of stuff as we come into the grand final. So, but first and foremost, we have to give it up once again. Triple Crown goes to the Aussie Sevens women's, picking up the Rugby World Cup final in pretty thrilling fashion, 24-22 over the Kiwis. Freeney, how about it, mate?
Mate, what can't they do?
Exactly. They're unbelievable.
It's awesome to see. The three-peat, obviously they were talking about it the other week, like how they, just sort of, it was, they were just hoping that it could happen, and it's happened. So they look like they're going to have a lot of fun after that.
Oh yeah, they'll be playing
some
like
of them
a
still
wash.
Yeah, were some of them still wearing their kit to the plane?
Doing the old stink drink.
Yeah, just
you love it, eh?
Yeah, no, that's.
I tell you what, no better place to win it than Cape Town as well.
Oh, it would have gone.
It's a good city to celebrate
Is
the
it?
World Cup victory. Oh, so I've heard.
Oh, that was awesome, man. That was awesome.
We trained against them in a little hit out. I think it was during the floods. I think they come up from Sydney, and I've never seen skill or fitness like they're so impressive.
Bang on, hey.
Yeah. We had I think we took 14 lads down, and we'd rotate 7 on, 7 off every 3 minutes, and our boys, we pride ourselves on our fitness.
Yeah.
Was absolutely smoked. And then Charlotte Caslick, I think she trained the whole session, and I think in the last 5 minutes sort of come up, and she wasn't even blowing. Like it's unreal.
And these skills at like fatigue too, like just pinpoint
Yeah.
passes and everything was just ridiculous.
But that's
So
exactly
awesome.
what we saw in that final. Shani Williams, I think she got player of the final, was just decimating birds left and right. Maddie Levi picked up 3
She's
tries.
insane.
Faith Nathan, the leading try scorer in the whole comp. Like they're on top of every
And
single
they're young.
facet. Yeah.
And they're young. Like
Exactly.
you got Shani who's
She's 34, I think, but
Yeah.
she'd just come back for
And what
it.
Charlotte should be around?
She's 27.
27?
I'm pretty sure she's 27 years old, yeah.
Far out. So she's still got ages.
She'd still have another 5 years in her. Demi Hayes is in her early to mid-20s. Maddie Levi's only been playing for a couple of years, and she's bagged 3 tries in a World Cup
How
final.
was that save? That try, save and tackle.
Yeah, that was
just boosted.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, exactly. But they are just world class. Like you'd have to say pound for pound, arguably the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Like when you incorporate every facet
Consistency.
of the game, so consistent.
Yeah.
So consistent. And
Tim Walsh, old churchy boy, coach.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, he knows the recipe. I don't know what he like. How
He's a quality.
Yeah.
Quality
coach.
human.
Yeah.
I read an interesting article the other day, and there was this term that he coined, crunning, which was crying while you're running.
Cry running, yeah.
Cry
Didn't Demi Hayes say that as well?
yeah.
She's like, yeah.
that was sick.
And it's
running.
But I mean, and and he talks about it at the start about the girls being obviously in so much pain and hating it that they're crying while they're running their fitness, you'd assume.
That's so good.
But then they, took it another level, and that they learned that it was something they, had to embrace.
Yes.
And enjoyed it.
Imagine that.
And it's just no coincidence that this team's gone on to, do what they do and do it so consistently well with someone like Walshy.
They embrace pressure.
Well,
Like, every time they are in the pressure cooker, they come out with...
Well, you've had some experience in sevens, mate. Like I couldn't imagine the head noise.
It's hands down one of the hardest things.
Like I'm just trying to think of crunning, and I'm a front rower, and I almost cried in just normal club.
I was going to say, you're used to crawking, just cry walking.
Crasties, cry masties. Well, we've gone a bit of a segue here, but yeah, is it pretty bad? Usually on a Sunday or Monday. So sad.
Trying to get the last bit of serotonin.
It's anything. Sorry, okay, back to footy.
I'll help you out here, Toss. Just talking to a few of the insiders in those programs, they reckon they train that hard that if from a talent point of view, that athletes come in and they don't. Some of them just can't
Can't tolerate it.
So they go back to NRLW and that sort of stuff. So obviously the ones that can hack it, it goes a long way to, obviously why they're so successful in that.
And then the men as well, speaking of consistent, the one thing that the men have done all year, they only won, I think, 1 or 2 tours on the actual World Series, but their consistency was always there. 4th after a late try to Ireland in that bronze medal match. Not what they would have been chasing, but I mean, still something to hang your hat on for a young side, Schultz, you'd say. It at least looks like they are very disappointed, as they should be, which I think is also a good sign for them.
Yeah, and from this looking from the outside, it sort of seems that they've got a really good nucleus of players that want to be there. It's an opportunity for them to be professional athletes. They're probably sacrificing a little bit because it's obviously they've cut back on contracts and all that sort of stuff. So it's like an opportunity, and they're doing everything they can to rip in and represent.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate, sevens. It's a game of such small margins because you obviously only have 14 minutes. Yeah. And in a high pressure tournament like a World Cup, one little thing happens and it costs you the game. But and we've talked about it before. The men's sevens teams and getting the guys from club rugby. Who want to be there, and they're historically sevens, as I've sort of mentioned before. It was Super Rugby guys, young Super Rugby guys come in more of a stepping stone to get ready for Super Rugby. So you always had one eye going back to your squad.
On something else,
Whereas these guys, this is where they want to be. This is what they're training for. And you get a lot better outcomes.
Yeah.
It's hard, though, with sevens, too. It's like on that tournament, that weekend or whatever, someone could just be on a good run. You've got your usual suspects, but then you've got, some teams that can just have a good tourney.
Well,
so it's
quite hard, isn't it? When you see Kenya, they've got these athletes, and they'll occasionally almost every tournament they'll take down a pretty big scalp.
Yeah.
But then they went on that run, I think, a few years ago, where they ended up winning a tournament just because they were banging big scalp after big scalp after big scalp, and I think the next tournament they came 6th or something. So it happens, as you said. You've got 14 minutes. If you can put it on for 14 minutes,
good for the Irish, though, I guess.
Yeah, bloody oath, mate.
The
That's
sevens
huge
are not
for
massive
them.
on. I think one of the McNultys scored the.
Shay Lala might be in the mix sometimes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Shay Lalangavesi, the Australian, Fijian, Irish Sevens representative, eh?
Good on
That's
him.
a weird one.
You know?
Good on him, mate. Chase the dream. Now, while we've got you here, Schulte, obviously, as we alluded to before, three-way premiership we saw on the weekend just gone, awarded to, obviously, Churchy, TSS and Nudgee, as you said. Freen's touched on it. You know, what can we do? Is there a way to maybe have a playoff? Like, do you think maybe every season should have one more round at the end that has the top two sides play for that final, or...?
I mean, that would be awesome, but sort of, as I sort of alluded to before, I think it's just really, really hard with school calendars and that sort of stuff. I think like this week, there's the last week of block exams and they finish school on a Wednesday. So, you know, schools have borders and all that sort of stuff that, you know, if things aren't planned, then the school pretty much shuts down pretty quickly as soon as the end of the term.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it would be awesome. And then, yeah, we were speaking about before as well, like, for and against, as I said, we would have come second, so I'm not overly keen on that. And then even, yeah, a bonus point system, you know, within the competition rounds could be something, but I think it's just a GPS tradition. It's just win-losses, and if you're good enough to win all 8, which is, I've found out this year, like it's a really, really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
We lost all 8.
Yep, 2004.
Do you get something for that?
It was hard. This was funny. It wasn't funny at the time, though.
Funny at the
No,
time.
I can only imagine.
I remember actually.
Speaking of crasties.
Yeah, I actually remember we got in trouble for scoring tries that weren't part of the structure, wasn't it? Anyway.
Who's your coach?
Oh, he's already been rinsed enough last week. So.
Oh, is that the one Chambers got?
Yeah. But yeah, that was weird. That was weird. Anyway, sorry about that. Interrupting.
And that it is a crazy competition because as we found out this year, we had a really massive win, beating Nudgee at round 3. And I don't think Churchy had beaten him since the premiership days of 14 and 15. And yeah, it had been pretty convincingly beaten in previous years and that sort of stuff. So that was huge. But then 7 days later, you're on a bus going down to Southport, and they had been beaten by Nudgee already. So this was basically their grand final. So if they were to lose to us, then that's their season done. So, it's just
it's crazy.
And just sort of unfortunate, I guess, the way that the calendar and the schedule worked out, or us playing, you know, each other in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But it's the quirk of the draw. A couple of years ago, you had Nudgee versus TSS down at TSS in the final round.
Yeah,
you know, like,
I mean, yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, I coached down at Churchy with Schulte, and I coached at Churchy last year. And Schulte probably can comment on this a bit further, and maybe I've just got a bit of a biased opinion from what I remember schoolboy rugby being about. But I feel like the general level of the competition, like Nudgee, Churchy, and TSS were far and away the standout teams. Toowoomba was competitive, but then, you know, like schools like State High, Ipswich, who were highly competitive and, you know, and routinely brought out really good players. Like, you know, we beat them in the last game on the weekend, 57-5.
Far out, really?
Yeah.
You usually get like maybe one of those games, or used to only get like one of those games a year.
Yeah.
Not like...
I mean, and, you know, like we played Nudgee and TSS in the first few rounds, and then it's like, all right, holding your nerve for the last few games. But, I mean, put 40 points on BBC, put 40 points on Grammar, put 50 points on State High.
What's the go with that then?
And I don't know, the standard of the competition, and as I said, Schulte can speak more to it, but I feel like maybe GPS schools in general, there's just not that investment in the rugby programs as there maybe used to be.
Well, I heard, I'm not sure if it's correct, but I heard, you know, you got guys floating around at Nudgee and stuff, like in the seconds and stuff like that are first 15 sort of players anywhere else, and they just sort of try and, I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah, no,
just sort of go on a bit.
It has evolved a fair bit in the last few years, like Dos was saying. And like schools, it's all dependent on what's important. Do they want to invest in rugby? I've definitely seen some schools drop off, and like it's not because of lack of effort from the people, you know, coaches that are there. It's just maybe they're not getting enough support and resources. Every school has its sort of own challenges, and then on the flip side of that, you've got someone like Nudgee who are just like. It's just a phenomenal program.
It's
and
a machine.
I can easily say that coaching against them. Like, my young fella started there this year and played in the 15Es.
How good's that?
And like he's coming home talking about backline moves, and I'm like, I haven't gotten a word of rugby out of him in
How good's that?
since he started. Now he goes there and he just loves it. Like he's staying around for the first. Like they've just done a fantastic job. And it's to a point where they're too good. They're too good. Like probably not so. The first is always going to be competitive, but like all the way through.
Yeah, they're just so dominant.
They're so dominant, and they have Bs and Cs players that could be playing As easily at other schools. Their second's always really, really strong. Even though I must shout out to two legends that I know, Gary Monday and Wilbur Monday. Matty Monday's Wilbur's son. He's playing in the second grade final for Brothers on the weekend. But they coached Terra seconds to the first premiership in 51 years.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
So they drew with us, our seconds, and then they beat Nudgy seconds and took out the premiership. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And his name's Wilbur.
Wilbur Monday, yeah.
That is a brilliant name. That is a sick name. Might have to put that in the back burner
I
for
was
the
going to
missus.
say.
Wilbur.
It is a girl, but
Wilbur.
Wilbur
That's
can
right.
go both ways. Well, what are your thoughts on the actual? So look, Zach loves GPS footy, like absolutely loves it. I've always been a bit iffy on it because I've always just been like, it's a bit.
You went to grammar.
I went to grammar, not gonna lie. So I've always been a bit down on the whole schoolboy rugby experience. But just from the place of like, so I was talking to Zach about it. Yeah, they do those anonymous polls with New Zealand rugby players. 500 of them. They give their thoughts on it, and they actually say about the televised games for schoolboy footy, and I think it was something like 75-80% say it's not a good thing. We've seen recently that the televised schoolboy games have sort of gone behind that wall, so that it's not obviously televised through Stan or DoubleTake or whatever it may be. What are your thoughts on the promotion of the schoolboy game? Do you think it is a good thing or a bad thing, or is there a way to do it so that it sort of ticks both boxes?
Yeah, I think, the reality is there's a lot of eyes on GPS, the first 15 competition, even from the streaming platform that share it, like the number of views they get. Our Nudgy Churchy one was crazy, the streams that it got. So
what were the stream numbers, do you know?
Not off the top of my head, but it was pretty substantial.
Yeah.
So there is going to be the interest, but it is a really fine line because
they're kids, man.
Yeah, you don't want to set these young fellas up for failure, because the reality is they're going to get experiences at a first 15 level that they might not even get at even at Super Rugby, with the resources and that sort of stuff. And that's where like each school is a little bit different with what their model is. But yeah, it is a real fine line. Like I don't believe it should be on TV and that sort of stuff. Like the Nudgy Barker game that played on the weekend, one-off games that promote the code's probably enough. But yeah, week in, week out, footy, names out there, even the Curie Mail write-ups and that sort of stuff. Like I know kids get fully invested if 100%. They're getting, it's sort of, I don't know.
I just reckon, I'm with you on that too, because and I'm with obviously development and selecting these young guys through to the next level. But there's so many guys that don't even, it's probably different now with the age, but there's so many guys that flourish later. Yeah. Dale's one of them.
Rat was ahead of him at school, and then
he was tiny, man. He was
Higgers, man. Higgers was third or fourth,
third 15, I think, down at TSS.
I think there's obviously a massive. I think it's a good thing to emphasise on schoolboy rugby, but I also think there's that little gap after school where people are developing and stuff that they need to sort of tap into too. If you're not making the Australian schoolboys, Queensland schoolboys and all that, they need to sort of try and, obviously, I think it's getting better.
Yes, I was about to say.
I think it's getting better, but it used to be so bad. If you didn't make it at school.
If you didn't make it at school, you had a sweet chance of making the 20s.
Yeah. Oh, I reckon that's way gone. Like we've even in our Reds 18s team, there's kids that played seconds at BBC. They go and play Colts footy, that sort of stuff.
It has definitely gotten heaps better.
Yeah. And that's where clubs are so important. If and I'll put my hats off to a number of clubs that have been contacting me about getting Churchy players to their programs, and that's where the most important next step is that you've got good club.
It's
Colts
probably
program,
the most important.
Yeah, you got good people knowing who's playing seconds and. Even when I was at Brothers, you're not just recruiting from first 15. Like there's lads in the seconds if you want to, spend the time developing them, and you look for certain little traits that like I said, they might have not have grown yet.
Just got something a little bit of hard edge again about them or something,
It's the equivalent of like that NFL combine. You've got those big schools that have all these people, but then you've got, like, you hear about all these players that play in the NFL. They're undrafted. They're this, they're that. They get a shot here, and it's something that's intangible in them that they can then obviously go on. And just because you kill it at schoolboy or whatever it may be, it may not actually translate higher up. So
I reckon it's gotten heaps better though across the board. Reds, like, actual Super Rugby players coming back and stuff. You see like James O'Connor and that, like, wanting to play club.
Yeah.
You're seeing all these like Harry Wilson and stuff coming wanting to play club. Like all these boys playing club. It's so good to see, and it just lifts the whole clubland up.
Because there's no Super Rugby 20, like that used to take a lot of the club players. They used to go straight and play Queensland 20s. They play that all pre-season. Then, they literally have to go straight into a Celts program,
which is good.
Yeah, it's
I think it's way better.
Yeah. And that's the challenge with school footy, is that sometimes they get an experience at a school, and then they go to club footy, and
it's a huge drop off.
You're training with 6 teams on the same field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
No, I think
they get a. They get a lot in the first 15 competition.
I think the investment in the under-20s is incredibly important.
Yeah, and you talk about investment, and just on Schulte's point there, like there needs to be a real focus on investment in coaches and up-and-coming coaches as well, because, you've got good coaches, good young coaches like Schulte coaching first 15. There are a couple of, because a first 15 role, you get paid better than you do coaching a Colts program or at a Premier Rugby, even a Premier Rugby program. So for a good young coach, it's like, all right, this is where I'm going to be. It's because, young guys, you've got a family, you've got to think about supporting financially. And it's like, all right, this is where you're going to be. And then these kids, so they've got good coaches. BBC had Shane Drum and the Kefu brothers the other week, and you're getting exposed to all these good coaches. And then you go into a Colts program, and you've got, I don't know, someone who's not as good as coach.
Yeah, your coach is like a concreter missing like a toe from gout or something like that.
Yeah.
He's just like, duckle. 3 Ds of Tongan defense.
Mate, and then these boys are just like, oh, well, this is not all it's cracked up to be. Maybe I'll go, try league out for a year. I'll get paid $200 a game. There's a coach who gets, paid a lot more, so he's more invested in me as a player. So I think there's a real gap there with coaching.
I
That's
think
a valid point.
We always talk about that pathway, and I think the schoolboy's always been strong. The link between Premier Rugby and Super Rugby is now pretty much solidified, at least within New South Wales.
Bring in the
Queensland
pokies,
very
mate.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's that under-20s gap where, if you don't make the Aussie under-20s, at least you're still in a program that can help develop you. And
we're always talking about the pathway for players.
But the coaches, the administrators.
100%, man. And I look around, even at school, like I look around school and I look at 15s programs and stuff. And, and that's where you can identify if a kid's got that, little something about them and whatever. And it should be like, each school, if GPS Rugby is primarily the pool where our Super Rugby players will come from. And it's a bad thing to say, but at the moment it's the truth. And it's like, in that 15, 16-year age group, like we should have the best guys looking after them. If it's not going to be a 15, 16-year-old academy program through the Reds, then, these guys need to be through the schools where our best rugby players are going to be.
And that can be the academy
program.
And
just take them under their wings, correct. But, they just don't have enough resources, at their disposal to keep good young coaches watching our talent.
Well, it's a tricky one, but... we're
going to be here all night.
It is thriving.
We can talk about it all night.
It is thriving at the very least. So just being able to find a way to really capitalise on that is probably the biggest thing. Now, in QPR footy just gone over the weekend, UQ absolutely dealt out a shellacking to the Brethren 36-22. And speaking of, we thought we'd get him on the blower to help us dissect it. It's T-Bone Maloney, the brother skipper. Round of applause for T-Bone. How are you, T-Bone? Oh, no, what's going on? Oh, you've turned your mic off, T-Bone. Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
How you going, T-Bone?
Very well. Thanks for having us, fellas.
No,
in the toilet, mate.
Little old brick house. Brick shit house.
Well, T-Bone, mate, I just sort of touched on it just then. Not the result you guys would have wanted. UQ just far too strong on the day for you boys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a disappointing result, but they certainly sort of set the tone with their defence in that opening quarter. We're sort of down their end for a good part of that, and they held us out quite convincingly. And then they sort of went 80 odd metres and put 7 points on us. So heartbreaking, but they're certainly the better side yesterday.
They are T-Bone friends here, mate. They're definitely one of those sides that if you don't start well against them, they can punish you, and that's obviously what sort of happened yesterday. How did you pull up, mate? That was a pretty physical game and fucking fast.
The body's a bit sore. I was just talking to my boss this morning. It's not much fun to be emotionally sore, physically sore, and hungover.
Sad beers. How about a sad beers? Careers.
But it was a very physical game. Those boys certainly dealt it, and I think towards the end there it was just trying to throw everything at them, and they certainly held us up right when it counted.
I saw big Dusty sucking through a straw about the 60th minute, and he gets stuck in the mud a couple of times. And I was just like, because I was like, I might do a bit of a preseason next year, get my 5 games. And I saw that, I'm like, absolutely not.
When you got the likes of Jock Campbell, Matt Greeley, Kalani Thomas running back at you on the short side,
so agile
next to him in that line, and UQ had done their homework on getting us to in that part of the park.
And T-Bone, mate, obviously losing someone like James O'Connor 2 minutes into the game, someone, obviously with his skill set and his experience in a preliminary final, it can hurt. But, you guys, obviously, you've got a lot of playmakers on the field. Do you think, James, you guys missed his sort of leadership and experience throughout the game?
Oh, absolutely. Like, you're not going to have a Wallabies 10 come out of your team and not recognise that it's made a bit of a difference. I guess we are fortunate, as you mentioned, Doss, with the other playmakers. I mean, we had the Queensland Reds 10, Lawson, step up for us there. And, him having probably not played there much for us, may have made things sort of not what we were used to potentially, but, there was still 14 other blokes or 15 other blokes that have been in this group for long enough. And, we just probably didn't react to it well enough and maybe got our heads down a bit once he was injured.
Yeah, and Tebow, just, sorry, on Rabs, can you just tell us a little bit about, I guess, the impact that he's had over the last month? From all reports, he was disappointed after being left out of the Wallaby squad, but, the very next day, straight down to Brothers, ready to prove a point. I just want you to tell us a little bit about the impact that he's had on the club over the last sort of month.
I was hoping to catch up with him after the game, ideally, but had to just settle with a message. But his efforts in coming back to the club and our team and adding so much was just incredible. He gave up time with the juniors. I think the poor guy had to take about 4,000 photos over a 4-week period, which is fantastic. But never once did you hear him complain or shy away from that. And then I guess for our team, his impact on the field, the calmness, his determination, and wanting to come back and win this with us, it was incredible.
T-Bone, Schultz here, mate. How are you?
Good, Schultz, mate.
It's been a little while. Talking about Wallaby level players, thinking back to I'm bringing up probably a lot of negative memories for you about 2019 loss Jock Campbell did some freaky shit then, and he did some freaky stuff again on the weekend. Do you think those sort of players were the difference, or how much do you love playing against him?
Yeah. I was hoping Uncle Rennie would put him in the team this week. He's a quality player, and just again, high rugby IQ, recognising where players are on the field. He certainly shut down our kicking game. He was always there at the back just to, eliminate any sort of go forward we could get coming out of our end. So, a quality player. Those guys certainly are the difference, but they make a difference, I should say. But, some of those stalwarts at UQ, your Pat Morris, your Connor Mitchells, those guys do some immense things for, full-time workers who love a bit of club rugby.
Yeah, and that seems to be a very distinct sort of difference in the club game nowadays. I think we were talking about it before going live. The fact that, like West, for example, there's been a lot of chat in regards to some of the players they've got, Big Cabus and Jordan Wallace, but it's guys like, your Ethan Dobbins, Liam Usher, Harry Higgins, the guys that have sort of been part of the furniture there for so long.
The guys that were from Brothers.
Yep.
Brothers are
So
coming to West.
Some good ring-ins there. No, but it's more like the guys that it is the clubland players that are really starting to set the tone for the standard of club footy that we've seen has just been skyrocketing both in Queensland and New South Wales the last couple of years, yeah?
Yeah, and I think the Super Rugby season does dictate that as well. But, for ourselves, especially for 16 weeks of the season or whatever it was, we had to win those games to put ourselves in a position to play finals. And, it was we had a team photo the other week and there was 30-odd blokes in that from reserve grade Colts that all sort of put on the jersey at some point. So, yeah, there's a lot of people and club members that sort of put in effort so that we can get to those positions. And I think it's fantastic that the Super Rugby levels, the Wallaby level players are coming back to make that product that we put on a Saturday and Sunday at the moment, like high standard. So, but yeah, it's those guys that have been there for since November doing pre-season that really do set that tone, because I think they bring the culture or what it means for them as a club member of, Brothers, West, wherever it may be.
Yeah, it's bloody tough to this pointy end of the season, and it's hard to bloody win a final for one. What's your sort of next move next year, T-Bone? Like, you got a young sort of squad there, and to be honest, very promising. And you guys have built quite well this year. What's your sort of movements, and what are your thoughts for next year?
I haven't really sat down to think about it. I've said it, I think after 2019, Schultz probably can attest to it, that, we'll keep chasing it to try and get one. And
Chase the dream.
Learnt on the weekend, learnt the last couple of years that it's very, very hard to get there in the first instance, and it's probably twice as hard to win one. So, not sure yet. Don't know what it means footy-wise, or potentially if I move into a coaching role or something like that.
T-Bone's just got to get through the 4-day weekend of Mad Monday.
Coming out of retirement for that.
Yeah, I was hoping that we might actually be calling into it at the moment. I was like, God, I hope he's deep in Mad Monday. I know
some of his younger peers at the club, like Nick Cross and that, are really, really excited to the next 4 days with you, T-Bone.
Yeah, mate, it should be a bit of fun. We like other clubs sort of hold off till grand final weekend so we can all rip in together.
Oh, man. As long as Ted Postal doesn't rock up.
Oh, man.
He is deadly, mate.
Yeah, he's deadly.
What a great reputation to have.
Okay.
Mate, T-Bone...
We've shut the gates.
Mate, just before you go, you've been club captain for, this year. You've been at Brothers since coming back from Melbourne, the last couple. Are there any young guys, you talked about the Colts guys being part of the team photo. Are there any young guys, who we should keep an eye out for, you'd suspect over the next couple of years be sort of, I guess, knocking on the door of professional rugby that you've seen at the club this year?
I think one guy I definitely think of, he's probably seen as a premier grade, a regular at the moment, is Jonty Conley.
Yes.
But he's only
Is he a Colt?
21.
What?
St. Columba's boy.
He's pretty.
Away.
Really?
You might know better than me.
Yeah, I think he'd only be 20 this year.
Yeah.
He was a.
He's got a
he
great
came out as
build
St.
for a
Columba's
sign.
as a 17-year-old. Yeah. I
He's
think
a
he was like a junior national high jumper, that sort of
He's
stuff.
the 6, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
he's
he's
got
been training
a
this
Matt
year.
Cobain vibe to him, I reckon.
Good, man.
Like big motor, doesn't shirt contact, but good line-out
He's
option
athletic,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, mate, that is loose. Well,
So he's definitely a guy for the future.
yeah, bloody oath. T-Bone, just before you go, we've had a few people write in a couple of questions for you. One came in from Keenan Tawakapulu, and he just said, how was West Scrums this year?
Mate, learned
shame.
that the hard way.
And then we've got one here.
I only had the.
Oh, go on, sorry.
No, I only had the 16 mils in that day, so.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, sure, mate. Whatever helps you sleep at night, T-Bone. And then there's just one other question here. It just says, have you been in any good blues with G Money and who won? That came from at Only Friends.
Guilty.
Who's G?
Oh,
His brother.
I think I learned my lesson with the big vanilla gorilla.
G Money.
I was about 12 and we were playing touch rugby with some friends, and there was about 400 punches thrown with probably one or two connecting. So, yeah.
And it was on you?
Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, mate, that is red hot.
Punches and bunches, baby.
Bloody oath, man. All right, T-Bone, thanks very much for joining us, brother. We'll be keeping an eye out for you at Mad Monday next
Hopefully
week,
not.
mate.
Hopefully no more careers, mate. And it's all good beers.
No, but that's it, mate. But yeah, we appreciate you jumping on, brother. Thanks very much, man. And we'll wish you all the best for next season, bro.
Thank you very much, fellas. And I just quickly wanted to say a big shout out to the Pig Athletic. What you guys do promoting the game and talking about the club land is it's big for the sport, and we certainly need it as a rugby product at the moment.
Bless you,
bloody tear to
T-Bone.
my
Thanks,
eye.
man.
How good is that?
Good man.
Thanks, mate.
You're a bloody good guy.
Love
I don't
you.
know why
Cheers,
Freeney
fellas.
talks all that shit about you, man. All right, cheers,
got a
T-Bone. Cheers, brother. Round of
Thanks,
applause.
T-Bone.
T-Bone Maloney, everybody. Oh, mate.
Lovely, isn't he?
Oh, one of the best, mate. He's one of the best
Genuine
blokes.
Great bloke.
He is a great bloke. I love that you just wrote in a question. Just throw him under the bus.
So, man.
It would be a good matchup.
Yeah, it would be.
But yeah, we'll just quickly race over that game from the weekend just gone. T-Bone obviously hit the nail on the head. It was just
Fucking you.
they did their homework. They saw the mismatches and they touched on it briefly. But this is James O'Connor's first touch, 70 seconds in. Line break, two defenders beaten with one touch and then hobbles off, unfortunately. But Dos, you are led to believe, if he's on the field, they probably get a couple tries in that first 20-odd minutes, you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. As T-Bone sort of mentioned before, it's not through a lack of playmakers that they weren't able to score. I mean, there's Lawson there.
Lawson right here, straight after
It's
half
Just that
time.
tempo, in my opinion.
Right
That-
there. Yeah, and I mean, just the heavies, man. They know how to play finals footy.
Yeah.
Like, that defensive effort in the first 20 minutes. I mean, Brothers had the scrum ascendancy, all the momentum, and they held them to 3 points and able to bounce. Jeez, what a good try.
Kalani was sick.
And that was a
He
high.
was-
He is a freak.
That was a
was-
high rugby IQ play. I read
Yeah.
that article Jim Tucker wrote afterwards, and where he interviewed him, and he said we knew we had the numerical advantage at halfback. They've brought a halfback on for wing, so I knew that the two guys at the back shot off. That space was probably there that typically isn't there. And I'm like,
Yes.
this is a 20-year-old kid
20-year-old.
Mate,
understanding that in the 60th minute of a.
I'll be honest.
semi.
I wasn't sold. I wasn't sold at the start, but
He's still got-
he is getting better and better every week. And that game on the weekend, I was just like, fucking hell.
Yeah, he
was awesome.
His
man.
running game, and when he uses that high tempo footy is when he's at his best. His passing.
That's where I think you forget that he's 20.
You're exactly right.
You sort of judge a young kid playing Super Rugby and he's 19 and he's playing halfback, like one of the hardest positions.
Yeah.
He's a superstar. I had him in a Reds 18s team, same with Josh Fluke, and that was the same group that went over and beat New Zealand in New Zealand. And he's super talented.
Yeah,
Big future.
I just hope that he's not in a real rush. Obviously, at Super Rugby level, he's behind Tate McDermott, who just keeps getting better and better as a halfback as well.
Hard position.
And I mean, he's only 20. He's still got lots of time to refine his game and and properly compete with Tate. He shouldn't really see it as a roadblock. Like, look at it as an opportunity over the next couple of years. I just, and I'm not sure who his agent is, but I hope he doesn't see it as a negative thing and is quick to.
Well, that's that's what I'm probably judging him off too. Super Rugby. You know what I mean? He's been thrown in at such a young age.
And he chops up.
Yeah, which is what you want to see.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
His only deficiency is probably his pass isn't as crisp, but it's as
getting
you
better.
said, Schultz,
It's
he's
getting
20
better.
years old. It's and it's a coachable aspect of his game.
I mean, and it's still good. I mean,
still good.
I think
Tate's
if
playing
you look at his
Wallabies.
pass, he's got the technical base. It's just probably.
It's
if
not
you're
as
looking at that super
the precision and
international-
the accuracy of it's probably not as
Because
good.
I'm a halfback, so I know. Follow through.
But I mean, but I mean, technically,
Yeah,
you
it's pretty
you look at Tate and his pass at the back end of games, especially left to right, is really weak. He's hitting guys up here, hitting guys down there.
Yeah, true. Never thought of that.
Yeah, man, and it's just it's a technical thing that hopefully that I'm sure he'll be able. He's so skillful. He'll fix
He'll be
that up
fine,
in the
mate.
next couple of years.
But it's good.
Back on the UQ, I thought
Yeah.
defence was awesome. Like their first 15, 16 minutes.
brutal shots.
And Brothers come away with nothing. But what they do so well, especially at finals time, is at the right time of the game, they just hold the pill.
Just how and they care.
The amount of inroads and gain line they made around the ruck, little snipes, forward runnings, getting one-on-ones.
He's just...
And then they play off the back of that. Like, even I remember coaching against them at Brothers in 2019. It's sort of, if they get the pill, no matter where they are on the field, if they want it, they'll hold it.
And they
It's
showed
so hard to get the ball back.
they showed it like Brothers that game in the normal rounds. They went 20-something phases, in the 85th minute to win the game. I remember
They did it against Bond too.
Yeah, our first in 2020, the first round of finals, we played them, and mate, the first 10 minutes of the game, I don't think we touched the ball, and they scored 3 tries. I was like, man,
That's Mick Heenan footy.
Yeah.
Mate, you know what they're going to do, but you can't stop it.
Mate, I've never been more gassed in my life than 2018 final. I was literally 10 minutes in looking at the fucking board going, what is happening here? I don't know what he does. I'd love to actually hear his... what his game plan
From
is and
all
shit, because
accounts,
every time
it's
I've played...
basic.
Yeah.
It's run hard, tackle hard, clean out hard. Everything else will take care of itself. No, but that's apparent. But
Run the fat
apparently
forwards around.
that is what it is. That is the crux of it, and that's why he
just
can
so
take a
efficient,
player
man.
and put it into that system, and within 12
If you-
months
they've
they're
made-
like Super Rugby standard because
7 grand
it's so
finals now.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got front rowers playing second row dominating. You know what I mean? Like, there's a mix and match of players, and he just fucking does it, and he nails it every year.
I tell you what, that Freeze just alluded to it, and it amazes me how a team can win a preliminary final and play, the majority of their second half with their loose head prop in the second row, like not have a line out. Obviously, Connor Mitchell and Sam Wallace, and they can jump. But you don't have an actual...
You don't have those big...
I think
Mate,
we
you're playing a
discussed
front
it-
rower in the second row. And,
we
blows
discussed
my
it
mind.
last
Big
week.
dick
But outside
energy.
of Harry Hawkins, they've never had a second rower. Their second rowers are shorter than their back row. It's just ridiculous, mate.
And not only that, he's just a good lad. You
he's
can have beers with him.
Absolutely a top bloke.
Mate,
mate.
From
He's
all
a good
reports, will be part of, or in some way or another, the QRU coaching staff next year. So.
Whoa!
Oh,
Bullshit.
Did I say that out loud?
Oh, is this PAC News?
No,
Where
mate,
it's like
this is...
Hamish Stewart's going to the Rebels and he goes to Force.
Mick Heenan ends up at Leinster. It's because of the sun. It's too harsh in Australia.
Mate, if he did, I will be.
I know.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
It'd be great
Oh,
reward.
mate.
That'd be so good.
Yeah,
I'll
I'd love
be
to see it.
frothing at the tip for that
Does
one.
that mean UQ don't make any more grand finals? or-
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Hopefully they get him before this weekend, eh? All right, just a couple more things. We saw there's some controversy coming out of the Springbok camp. Elton
Oh,
Yankees.
absolutely.
Elton
Potting the
Yankees.
nutritionist, mate. I tell you what. Can't be doing that on you, mate.
Yeah. Elton Yankees accused of having an affair with the box dietitian Zinat Simji.
Mate, he's just going in for a bit of a tune-up. You know, I've ate this and I'm feeling a bit fat. What should I do?
Feeling a bit-
Sounds like it's familiar territory for you, Freak.
Well, definitely not seeing a nutritionist. Maybe doing things I shouldn't be.
But yeah, essentially that there was a report coming out that a father and son saw them walking, renting out an Airbnb or something like that, and then it led to an argument. They said they sounded like they were having fun initially, and then it landed. It went to a heated argument with the management being called of the
I'm not here
hotel.
to kink shame, but maybe they weren't. Make you think.
Maybe it's all part of it. But then, the fact that Elton Yankee's got a wife and 3 kids is
it
where
doesn't look good, does it?
No, it does not, man. So the Box have sent them home to deal with their personal matters as a way of not leading to distractions within the Box camp.
How are you going to explain that one, buddy?
I don't think you can.
No, you can't.
You can't.
He's fucked.
Give me some crap advice, and I was just going to speak to you at 12 o'clock at night.
I think they actually left their team hotel before that test against New Zealand in South Africa and got their own little shack somewhere. So it's not looking good, bro.
It's not looking good, Brev.
Has he been playing for him, or is he going to be a big loss? Or
Nah.
Well, Andre Pollard's been injured, but then they've just been playing Willemser in there anyway. So
That's way better.
anyway, that's huge. And just one last thing, Willie Losey actually passed away, age of 55, just before he was in in Cape Town to commentate the Rugby World Cup Sevens. So rest in peace to Big Willie. I actually got a chance to get on the piss with Willie in Christchurch a few years ago.
Lucky bastard.
Went to the NPC finals with Chips Blanche and Sumo Stevenson. Took us along, and we ended up back at the Ridges Hotel with Tony Johnson, Willie Losey, Pod Turner, all the boys, and Willie's just...
Mate,
He is a fucking legend. Had his tie on his head, and he's just like, J-Ball, just want to ask you a couple of questions, man. I'm like, oh, what's up, Willie? He's like, you seeing many dark fellas around here in Christchurch? I'm like, no, not many, eh? He's like, I know, right? I'm like, yeah, Willie. And then he was just on a heater all night, man. And from all accounts, absolutely one of the best blokes. And I had nothing but good words to say about Willie, man.
mate,
So,
he called the Bangkok Tens one year, and he hung around the Jam Boys, which the Jam Boys are a loose bunch of units. And he toured with them, but he was calling the Bangkok Tens for a while during the day. But yeah, the boys can attest that he is a very good lad.
top
on the piss.
bloke, mate.
And,
Yeah, he and Carl Tanana were just feeding off each other all night. I was like, this is red hot. And it was a very surreal experience. Like, Chips and I think we walked home at about 3 a.m. We were just standing around the corner, and we were both like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how did that happen? We're like, mate, that was awesome. And so, mate, rest in peace to Big Willie Losey, mate. He was a huge part of the promotion of Sevens rugby, but in particular the women's game as well. Like, a huge supporter of it. And
Always
he'll
good
be
bit of
dealing
banter
with-
too.
Oh yeah, always had such great chat, Big Willie Losey. So yeah, rest in peace, Big Willie. So one thing we wanted to run our eye over. We'll have a look at the grand final coming up this weekend. But on Wednesday morning is the grand final breakfast they have every year. And that is typically where they announce all the season awards, highest point scorer, cult of the year, stuff like that, but also the Alec Evans medal. So we saw down in New South Wales the Ken Catchpole medal going to Max Douglas from Manly Marlins. So we wanted to give our thoughts on who is going to get the Alec Evans medal this year. Look, I'll just give it away right now. All of us have said it's Pat Murray. If Pat Murray doesn't win it, we're going to be burning something down. Like,
Not the QRU because we're friends.
we are, mates. QAU, yeah, we'll burn something else down. But if Pat Murray doesn't win it, I mean,
Surely.
Dallin was straight away like, it's Pat Murray. And then we all went, well, shit, it is. So, I mean, First up, it's got to be.
Has
Pat
he won it
Murray.
before?
No, he hasn't.
That's another incredible thing too.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't believe, but it's a different system. So down in New South Wales, I'm pretty sure it's the opposition coaches give their 3-2-1s. Up here, it's the referees. So
we're trying to influence this, by the way. So
we
sure.
are. I mean, that's just one thing Pat Murray has done all season. And just look at this. He's just tenacious, tough, and just a brilliant footy player, and a great leader. A great leader. Like you said before, 7 grand finals in a row. It's a travesty he hasn't won it.
He's one of those players that Brisbane probably doesn't have, like Sydney, where the older players hang around for so much longer. And he's that, what is he, 27
or 28?
26.
Graduated 2012 at Grammar, so he'd be 27, yeah.
So which is, it's not old as a footy player, but...
It's old in QPR.
In QPR it is, yeah, but he's killing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And the allocation of points in Premier Rugby is just ridiculous. It should not be the referees doing it. I hate it with a passion.
So what they do? So Shoot Shield, the coaches vote.
Opposition coaches give their 3-2-1s from the opposing side. I'm led to believe
that is the best way. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Hence why, you look at nothing against Coyotes, Liam McNamara, both awesome footy players. Backs. It tends to be the guys who score all the tries. Or a few years ago, it was Harry Wilson who wins it after coming halfway through the season after a very successful Australian under-20s, and he's on the radar and everyone loves it. I was saying before, I was able to see he scored 3 points in one game, UQ versus Brothers at Brothers. I commentated that game and he got iced out massively. No one from Brothers deserved any points. UQ were that good and he got 3. Nothing against the referees. It's not their fault, but they've got enough things to worry. And it was literally his second game back, coming back from the final of the Junior World Cup. It's nothing against the referees, but the refs, it's not their job.
Yeah, but the refs are reffing the game, so they're getting like they're not going play by play like coaches are literally looking over video every week. We've got to cancel this dude out, do this, or you know what I mean? Like this, they're literally going over tape, looking at playing against these guys week in, week out, studying the opposition. So
they watch the game and they go, Max Douglas decimated us at set piece today. Or a couple of years ago, they know Mahe Vailanu is winning this game for good. It's just, and again, it's just the referees have enough things to worry about. Who are they going to see? The guys scoring the tries.
Or maybe there just hasn't been any forwards who have been standouts.
Ty Ford won it. Bro. Ty Ford won it because he scored a shitload of tries for Bond.
He was really good that year.
And if it wasn't for Harry Nusafora, he was on that Stingrays diet.
Whoa, bro!
But if it wasn't for Harry Nusafora running the show, he does.
Anyway,
let's plow ahead. So we thought, look, we think it's Pat Murray, but we all had ideas as to who we think may actually have an opportunity to ice him or who's going to be in that top 5. And Friends, you said Tyler Campbell.
Yes. Yeah, he's a backer, but I thought he had a great knock this year. And, mate, obviously his rugby spoke for itself. He was just incredible. Good to see him back after a knee injury. I've had a mad stiffy for him all year. So,
he missed a fair few games at the start of the year, though, which
he did
obviously go against him coming back from that knee reconstruction. But, man, he's the real deal.
He's
so smart, man.
Does so many different things.
Look at this.
Sets them up, scores them himself.
Has
that skill.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, man. And it's tough as nails.
Yeah.
Doesn't shirk the contact. Great distribution skills.
Got a bit of niggle about him, too.
Yeah, he's got. As I said, there's nothing better than a back with a shit chop and looks like a mongrel.
Nah, man, I like him.
Yeah. Dossie, you were saying Coyotes from UQ. Has
class.
A good opportunity to go back-to-back after winning it last year with Liam McNamara.
Oh, he won it last year?
Yeah, with Liam McNamara.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Kai and, knowing that the refs vote for it, like he's top try scorer, top line breaks, top tackle breaks. Like he features in all of Uni's tries, well, most of Uni's tries. I just think he's someone that the referee will see often and he'll poll lots of votes.
Yeah, 100%. Hasn't been as deadly this year as he was last year.
Yeah.
But...
But
Coyotes,
still, man.
mate.
Yeah, he's Coyotes, man.
Coyotes.
And
awesome.
He's consistent. And he's a goal kicker as well.
Yeah, 100%. My one, I thought, in a side that was pretty good all bloody year, it has to be Taylor Adams, from Brothers. He is electric, mate. I mean, check this out. Just Goosh, see you later. Gets through the offload.
It's a little cheeky offload.
It's what he does, though. Like, he is so exciting. How's that for a flick pass back inside, finds Mo Christian? But this one here, look, good little pass. But the main reason I wanted this in here is I reckon the Alec Evans medal should be Ryan Freeney just there, pushing Sam Hine over, getting in the grill. Looking good, Freens.
Yeah, just
Sammy was in my way. Look at him working hard to get back, man. Mate, that was just...
Yeah, he got in his head early.
It's a good double
effort.
effort,
Actually
man.
late. Jeez, look at bloody... Tried to trip someone too. Sorry, Heine.
But I mean,
miss it, you know.
Taylor Adams was a huge inclusion for the Brethren this year.
Yeah.
He actually won the Ken Catchpole medal down in Sydney a few years ago whilst playing for West Harbour.
Yeah.
So, mate, he's
good,
got
man.
runs on the board.
His gun, man, and his a big reason I tipped Brothers to go all the way this year was his inclusion. I remember watching him. Not so much down at Sydney, but a bit for the Rebels. I think he played a handful of games, and I was like, man, this guy's got a bit about him. Like, just silky skills, reads a game well, kicks off both feet, good goal kicker. Obviously, didn't take Brothers to the final, but mate, good pick.
Yeah, and I just think as well, I love to see a dude who still does like the Benji step and loves a flick pass. You know what I mean? Like backs himself. You're like,
Yeah.
Same with
A couple
Tyler
of
50-50s,
you know.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Especially if
I'm
you're in a
with ya.
side with backs that are just killing it that way. Friends, we got anything for the Battlers pitch?
Oh, mate, no, I totally forgot, to be honest.
Nah, nothing's come
Had
through
the kids on
from
the
Big Fat
weekend, mate,
Darts.
so yeah, no, mate. We'll put on the bench this week.
Saw Big Fat Darts at a wedding on the weekend, so down in Yamba, and he was saying he's got 2 more weeks and he'll be back in the mixer. So
He'd be doing his head up there.
oh,
We have to have a week off after his debacle last week.
yeah, with Perry Neum. Perry Neum's an absolute kook and I hate his guts. All right, let's get straight into it. The QPR Grand Final is this weekend. West versus UQ, West Side Derby, 1 versus 2 at the end of the season. Doggies in their first final since 2006. UQ, as we said, have gone to 7 in a row.
West go!
Yes, friends, loving the energy. But what are we honestly thinking? I mean, so much has been said. We all thought Brothers would be well rested. They're looking good. They'd come out and do UQ in. UQ, put them to the sword.
I knew UQ were going to kill them.
What do you reckon this weekend, Schultzy? Like,
I was saying,
who's going to win and why?
I was saying before, for Wes, I'm not putting any extra pressure on them, but it's a massive occasion for them. We all know around the clubland how much effort they've put into trying to get to this position over the last few years. So the pressure is on them. UQ, 7th grand final.
Another day at the office.
Yeah, just turn up, see what happens. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of the West footy recently, but I know they got obviously a decent set piece and some strike back. So if they can get some quality ball and get some points early and put the pressure onto UQ, then they might be good enough to hold them out. One thing I do like about West was they were able to come back late last game, which traditionally in the last few years wouldn't have been able to done that.
Yep.
It's a big occasion. It should be a cracking game. Pressure's on West.
Yeah.
UQ can just do their thing.
Who you backing?
Yeah, who you backing?
UQ.
You dog.
So just sit on the fence.
No, UQ.
Yeah, no.
They got the game. Jock Campbell, he's...
Oh, my God. Surely, do you reckon... On a serious note, do you reckon he's ready for the Wallabies?
Yes, you got to give him a crack.
You've got to give him a crack.
I think he's the type of player, no matter what level he plays at, he's going to perform.
Yeah, mate, he's getting better.
Because he's just so crafty and he's so smart. He's not a big human, but he doesn't need to be the way he plays.
Where's the Bledisloe this weekend? Down in Victoria,
Melbourne
on
Thursday.
Do we know anyone in Victoria that might be able to just
Chainsaw?
put a steel
Imagine
pipe
that.
to
Imagine
resolve
if
his
they,
knee a bit?
take Jock.
Hopefully,
So won't
Jock
it?
Campbell can get the call up.
Not chains off.
Bit of Tonya Harding action.
Yeah.
Come on, Chainsaw, take one for the boys. The doggies need it. I think Browning, the club president, will fucking have a conniption and die if the doggies don't win. I think he's been wanting to retire for about 5 years now, so I think the doggies need to do it for Brownie. Who are you backing, friends, and why?
I'm going for Wests purely just because I love club footy, and I would love to see them win. It's been a while. What, 2006?
06, yeah.
So I think it would be good. They play like a similar sort of game that I like sort of seeing, just big forwards, set piece, boring, but just smash each other. Uni though, you cannot write them off at all. I think they've. I know it's another year, but I still think they've got a point to prove, and they do not want to lose that final at all. And if West, I reckon I'm going for West. I hope West win, and I think it's going to be a cracker of a game.
Scrum's going to be massive.
Yep.
I think UQ struggled a little bit on the scrum, especially when
Yep.
Jaden Christian, luckily, again for brothers, Jock got injured. Then Jaden Christian went off with an ankle. That was the difference.
He was,
Yeah, mate,
I was actually watching. I was like, "Why?" Are they
Actually,
taking him off? And
yeah,
then he had
mate,
an
that
ankle
is
injury.
that's
and
a
then
massive.
after that, UQ got a little bit of parity in the scrum.
Yeah.
But West have got basically two
Yeah.
elite level front rows.
Yeah.
The big talk.
So if they can impose themselves there, it does make it.
The biggest thing that undid West was just what UQ does. They're clinical.
Yeah.
We need to hit a line out. We might not hit it. We come set piece at the end. Their scrum, anchored by Oosh, was just awesome. But it needs to be the whole game, and it needs to be relentless. Their pressure. I think it's going to be won and lost with West dominating set piece. If they do that, they give themselves every chance of winning that game. But I think they need to be a try ahead in the 20th minute, and I think they need to be probably double digits ahead at half time.
I just don't want you to turn on
ice
them,
it.
mate, if they're doing bad. That's all I want.
I don't do that.
No, well, you do.
all the time.
You just need to.
I just have a high standard for
them.
the boys, and they let me down a lot.
And again,
What do you mean, mate? Just get behind them.
I do get behind them. I love them. They know I love them.
If UQ can get in front of, they're going to bomb a lead again. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
It's going to be,
Not
mate. It's a big cracker of a game. That start's going to be the most important thing,
Yep.
as we always fucking say. But it's going to be very important, and
They need a
Yeah.
handy lead in that
West-
first half.
yeah.
I think they need to just take points when on offer and
If I was
blow out.
UQ,
where they
I'd
can.
just be holding the footy and tiring that big.
And they will
footy
do that.
out.
yeah.
That's what they're gonna
That's
do.
exactly
do
what they're
we
gonna
know
do.
any exclusions for this weekend? Anyone got the hot tip?
Not
Does
that I'm
West
aware
get
of.
anyone back?
No, I think it's going to be same. I don't know of any. Carter's out for the season,
That sucks.
so yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting one because the Bledisloe's on Thursday. You would
Yeah.
assume that, you'd want to hope for his sake, Jock goes down with the team.
And stays down
he'll have time to
indefinitely.
He'll have time to come back and possibly play a grand final on Sunday. But that's a whole week without the team.
Yeah, that won't matter.
Yeah.
It won't matter. mate.
Yeah.
He'll just slip straight in at 15
Yeah.
like nothing happened.
Yeah. Well, unless mate, if he's in the Wallabies 23, then he doesn't get released. Tatey McDermott possibly gets released
Tate
and comes
if
back.
Tate comes back.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah,
Imagine
man.
Tate and Kalani. Just
Why not?
at
Yeah.
Club footy.
Yeah,
Mate,
what?
if Tate comes
if
back.
Tate comes back, then Kalani can still play Colts, and UQ Colts are in the grand final as well. Imagine that.
Kalani will take that well.
Yeah.
Brains it on the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, who are you backing, Doss, and why?
I'm backing. I think Uni will win, just from their experience, their ability to play finals footy. But I'm with everyone else. Good
Cheer
start
for the Dogs.
Good start from West. They need to slow it down and go set piece to set piece, turn the screws, make the ref look at the scrums,
and hold on to the ball.
and obviously and try to disrupt the breakdown as much as you can. Uni, notorious hold the balls on for long periods of time, as Schultze's really alluded to, but. Yeah, I just think Uni, after the way they beat Brothers on the weekend, it's just going to be a normal week for them. They'll go in. All of them know what to expect. And I just think they'll just have that experience on game day. And
I reckon UQ really need to focus on their goal kicking too. They're 5 from 15 over the last 2 weeks.
Holy
I don't understand why they share it because
yeah,
Kai.
Give it to
owes some
Kai.
sharp
Kai
shit.
always does it.
Oh, good Jock. Jock was ridiculous too, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure. Goal kicking.
I remember Kai used to always come down to Brothers and practice. He must live locally around there, and just be looking out the window, go, he wouldn't miss.
Yeah.
I was surprised about on the weekend when Juice took that one from like 40 out just in front, missed it, and then I had a crack and he missed one. Like,
and then Brick had one as well, I think. Like, yeah, they've been sharing the load, and it's either way.
I just can't. If West win, I just can't wait to see Big Elvie like just do the Conor McGregor through the crowd again. Big dwerg keeps getting at me because I keep talking about him on things. But
yeah, I saw him at the Whole Dogs lunch the other day, and he's like, every time he talks about me, I just text him, and I'm like, hey, Frinny, fuck you, man. And I can see him looking at his phone. I'm like,
yeah. It's so good, mate.
It's so good,
It'd be
man.
good to see, mate. He'd be very happy.
Yeah, bloody
Look like
oath.
anybody have a border wars smuggled down his pants. That's for sure.
All right, let's wrap it up with our rugby. We were going to do something a little different this week just because it was only really the one match from the weekend just gone. Our rugby for Shoot Shield 2022, as we said before, Max Douglas came away with a can catch bowl medal, but there were several players down there who we all thought definitely could have run away with it. Freeney, you went with Lungy Gleeson from
Favourite
Manly.
human in the whole wide world.
Oh, the best.
Down in Shoot Shield, he was just... I just love his intensity, his physicality, that sort of number 8 who just kills people, really. And he's
this is
quick,
the thing.
man. And he's quick.
That's the perfect snapshot of what Lungy Gleeson does. Not a big back rower, but somehow breaks
How old is he?
tackles.
Does anyone know?
20, I think. 19, 20. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure he's about 20 years old, yeah.
Mate, he's amazing.
Give or take, yeah.
He's one of those guys you see play club footy and he makes a massive difference.
Oh, and mate, and it's a testament to the standard of footy down there that it was him coming out. I think he only played the last few games for the Tars and was pretty good, and then went back to club rugby, and as a result, he's part of a Wallaby squad.
Yeah.
You know, like, it goes to show they're looking at club footy and they're going, oh shit,
It's
this
good,
guy's
man.
chopping
That's
up.
good. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, Lungy Gleeson's a bloody hell of a prospect, mate. I reckon he could be our answer to Artie Sarve. I just got word he's 21 years old.
21.
Yeah, so
Unreal.
out of St. Augustine's College, I'm pretty sure. So, mate, fuck. So bloody
Huge.
good. Dow, he went with Reece McDonald from Gordon, who tends to be... This is a pretty good example of what he does. Gets in, but then it's more about... Can see space, bang, bang. It's more about the try assists and the ability to hook up the attacking weapons around him. A lot of the time, he's that
Is it
last
because he's a
pass.
ranger too?
Probably, yeah.
That's
80% of the decision.
80% of the decision, I reckon. It's just a bit of ranger on ranger action. He should be on the Red Hot Chili Steppers, that highlight, yeah.
Yeah, Reece McDonald, mate. No, and he's good. Goal kicker.
He's gun, man. He's a guy. He's a great mate. They've got a few good young playmakers coming up from down in Sydney. Obviously, Ben Donaldson and Tane Edmund playing for the Tars. But this guy, man, in terms of skill set, he's not far behind him.
No.
I mean, I played against him in that 2020 game against Gordon, and after the game, I was like, man, who's this young dude? He's gun. Like, it was shit conditions, but he was terrific. His kicking game, like, got a cannon of a kick. And just his chat, I could hear him from the other side, his chat in terms of how he was organising and the space that he was seeing. I was like, fuck, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, bloody oath, man. He is an absolute superstar, Reece McDonald. Dossie, you've gone with the Lebanese Lamborghini himself out of Randwick, Christian Yasmin.
Yeah, I've sort of I've adopted the Queensland refereeing style of picking because I don't watch Shoot Shield. So I was like, oh, who scored the most tries? And this guy, and his name came up. So I was like, all right, my guy's Christian Yasmin. No, mate, but in all seriousness, he is a try-scoring machine.
He's a legit
The
finisher.
start of this year, legit finisher, and extra points for, crossing codes halfway through the season. And then scoring a couple of meat pies for Lebanon
For
rugby
Lebanon.
league team.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he's part of the Lebanese rugby league team for the World Cup this year,
yeah.
coached by Michael Checker.
How good is that?
Yeah. Michael Checker's just a gun for hire, right?
Yeah, why not, mate?
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
to the old
mate.
Lebanese, the cedars. Is it the cedars? The cedar trees?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I fluked that. I just guessed it because it's on their flag.
But, mate, no, Christian Yasmin, man, he's like
He's electric, man.
played every minute of every game this year, I think, as well. So you don't typically see that from a winger, but double-digit tries and a lot of them long-range efforts,
Yeah.
mate. Like, he is an absolute gun. Mine, mate, hard to go past Ratu to assess him, mate.
Yeah, here's
from
my other one.
Eastwood. He is just... I love just a thick, stocky six who's just... Look at him there, caught it flat-footed.
Booze.
There you go. Like, Just that awesome. But both sides of the ball, so sick. But I just love...
I'm trying to clean out a prop.
I love... Just look at him. Just stocky number 6. Eyes up. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Try to... Easy. Mate, I actually thought it would have... It had to have been him. Yeah, he's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. I thought it was his to lose this year because he was so dominant.
Defense was sick.
Yeah,
too.
but it's so dominant in a dominant Eastwood side. But like Max Douglas, I think was pretty deserving of it as well. But yeah, Ratu to assess, mate. I just love a stocky 6 who just plays like that, eh?
So good.
So good. All right, well, that rounds out our rugby. That rounds out this week's episode of the PAC Show. Schultzy, thanks so much for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure getting you on the battlers bench.
Thanks for having me.
Nice one, Ryan.
I just want to shout out, I'll get killed if I don't, to my running club, which is Nick Cross and Harry Wilson from the Brethren. If I didn't say anything, I'd be copping it after, so shout out to those lads.
Your running club?
Yeah, so basically when Wilso had to keep fit over the off season, he got given running programs, and myself and Rossi would go down and
do it with him.
Good shit, man.
Yeah, and we kept it going. I think we're in our 4th season at the moment.
Really? I should probably do it.
Oh, so you guys do it every preseason?
Yeah.
Still got a hammy, mate. I can't.
You're still in the Crawking Club, the Crasty Club.
The Crusty
Crasty Club.
Can we please not use that word again, man?
Oh. Sorry, man.
But yeah, Schultzy, thanks, mate. Awesome insight in regards to the schoolboy game as well as QPR, mate. So appreciate it, brother. We'll wish you all the best next year as well. I assume you're doing the rounds again.
Yep, go around again.
Bloody oath, mate. Hopefully you can go one better and only share it with one other team. Freeney, did very well tonight. Your question time was absolutely red hot. Congratulations, mate. Yeah, no, appreciate it. Dossie, mate, thanks very much. You killed it once again, as per usual. Consummate professional. Zachy boy.
On you, Zachy.
Always a pleasure, Zachy boy. Give it up for Zach, mate. We
wouldn't get enough accolades, that. He's not wearing shoes either, is he?
Never wears shoes.
Never wears shoes,
but he's an absolute gun on the ones and twos. But
and he's very smart.
He is very smart.
He knows a lot about footy as well. I love it.
Yeah, mate. I got the chance to commentate his Premier Grade debut off the bench against Bond a few years ago. I think Marty was calling him Zach Zorf. Yeah. Not Zrop. But yeah, Zorf. He's like, oh shit, sorry.
Anyway.
But we got there eventually. Either way, Zachy boy, absolute pleasure. As per usual. As always, be sure to like and subscribe and share all our content. We just want to get around the boys and girls that make this game great. So if you can do that, that'd be much appreciated. And in the meantime, enjoy the footy this weekend. Enjoy the footy on Thursday night. And up the doggies. Ciao. We'll see you next week.